Hey, really good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's our monthly Q&A session today. We had so many great questions, and I really appreciate those of you that wrote in. There's so much chaos and confusion and uncertainty, and it's really hard to manage it, especially if you've grown up in chaos and trauma in a chaotic system or experienced it on any level, even in your adulthood, to really find a grounding and a footing. So I feel like these Q&A sessions that we have monthly are really flourishing and really helping to make connection. So thanks for being here. And the first question today is a really good one. My daughter has gone through a rough divorce from a narcissist. She's angry and unforgiven and not even close to healing. I'm at the point where I have forgiven her ex, but feel guilty in letting my daughter know. How should I handle this? What a great and powerful question, and what sort of a web of relationships and emotions to sort through. Because I mean, I know as a parent, I want to completely side with my offspring, or in a friend situation, really want to stand by and support them. But I also have my own sensitivities, my own thought processes, my own feelings about it. And from my own experience, having divorced an alleged narcissist, I knew going through it and after that, holding on to the resentment and rage was absolutely deadly. It would be like eating rat poison and expecting them to fall down and get sick. So I have a lot of empathy and compassion for this woman's daughter who's experienced narcissistic abuse, clearly, and is not anywhere near forgiveness or recovery. And her mother's position for not, wanting to really step on her daughter's toes or seem unsupportive. But sometimes telling the truth is really helpful. And sometimes reflecting back to another, your own opinion, rather than taking care of theirs, is the way that you help that person forward. So, Mom, here's what I want to say to you. Um, it's okay that you practiced forgiveness. I believe for myself that experiencing narcissistic abuse is rather common in our systems today. And I believe that it does have an ample opportunity for learning and for soul growth that comes along with it. And those of us that are involved with a narcissist on any level, I feel like it is a gift of soul evolution. Light attracts dark, and we all have dark and light within us. You do, I do. I mean, just this morning, I was I was pointing the finger at another, thinking, "How could you?" And then I really had to gently point the finger back at myself and point at the times that I did behave in a similar way. It's been a long time, but I absolutely have that same ability as a human being. And sometimes it's really hard to look at that, especially when clearly you've been portrayed and experienced as the victim. But ultimately, holding on to that belief system does not serve anyone. So, Mom, I applaud you that you've moved through this and see it with new perspective. And I'm also going to encourage you, though I know it can be scary, especially if you're an abuse survivor yourself, to have an opinion that's different from those you love and friends and even our systems. So, maybe gently suggest that you are where you are with the experience your daughter went through, that you love her, but that you feel it's time to move on, that you have seen the gift in this. She's no longer physically with the narcissist. She got divorced from the alleged narcissist. So many people don't make it to that point. They stay engaged and they stay entrapped. And that's walking death on earth. It's a very dangerous place to be. So you explain that you are grateful for that and that you're seeing what you're grateful for in the end of this relationship, and that you're hoping that that light can come to her as well, and that you're here for her in every way, and that it's difficult for you to express this and be willing for the backlash. She may be very angry that you're not, quote unquote, taking her side fully, but ultimately she'll step up and see you're actually helping her move forward, helping her embrace the opportunity for seeing the positivity in this dark circumstance. And if she's lucky enough to wake up to a new way of seeing this experience, she too will blossom. But guess what, Mom? That's out of your control too. So I hope that's helpful information. It's not always easy. This is so layered. Um, and I'm happy to talk with you further about it if you'd like to. Just sign up for a complimentary Taste of Freedom session, Mom, and we can talk it through, or send your daughter my way. Because believe me, I have lived where she is. And the more I held on to that anger and the rage, the more I held myself a prisoner of that toxicity. So, not easy, but the truth. Thanks for taking the time to be honest and sharing that question, because I know you're not alone. I know you're not the only one experiencing this. I've actually had that question multiple times. So, thank you. Next question is, my mom continually baits me into errands for her, and I come up drained and dry, but somehow I can't seem to say no. How do I stop the behavior? So this is apropos for any of us that have our struggles with boundaries. Certainly growing up in a toxic system or being involved with one, your freedoms to create boundaries are oftentimes usurped. It can be problematic. You can be punished for creating them. And then that can be reflected into your adulthood. And it doesn't have to necessarily be contained to the family system you grew up in now in adulthood are still serving. It can be projected onto the workplace or in your, religious system, education systems, so on and so forth. It all applies to the toxic systems. So creating boundaries is absolutely the way. And we need to understand that we are a sovereign being, that you, have a beginning, middle, and an end. And that's difficult, especially when we are trained into these toxic systems. We don't feel entitled to have an opinion, to have our own space, and certainly not to have our own needs. But waking up to this and understanding, yes, we are a sovereign being and we do have the right to engage in a full life that belongs truly and only to us, is the first step. And then the next is to go inside and soothe that central nervous system, soothe that inner child in there that, again, is being terrorized, by breathing, by speaking gently, by reassuring that you are no longer in that system. And you have to be willing to walk. Some of us serve these toxic circumstances because there's a carrot on the stick we're chasing. We're afraid we're not going to get financial support when we need it. We're afraid, our mom or dad won't be there when we need them. If we don't serve them as we have, we're afraid we're going to be fired if we speak up. And, maybe we will be fired. Maybe our parents will cut us off, but we need to understand that if that does happen, that is your ticket to change, to grow, and to create your sovereignty and live in abundance and freedom like you've never known. And I understand it's so terrifying. Some of us you just can't do it. You're just stuck, and that's okay too. And I have faith and hope that you will be able to step up and step in to your value and to your worth. So soothing that inner voice is essential. And then setting up the support around you that you need to take the steps to create those boundaries and to say no and to shift your behavior. And that can be through a genuine friend, colleague, loved one, professional. Heck, I've even known people that have used strangers for support, and it's worked for them. But you need a balanced support system to get the hope and the stable platform you need to be able to have the strength and to step out of the trauma and the post-traumatic stress that I know you're feeling. I know it's activated. I can feel it. To calm the central nervous system, to know you're safe, to practice what the dialogue is going to be about saying no, about setting these boundaries with your mom, with your whomever it is, and what the repercussions might be. So you're prepared. Yes, you might get lambasted, you might get guilted, you might get blamed, you might get, the crying and the drama, but to separate from it and to know that it's okay to say no, and no thank you is even better. But that is a complete sentence, and it is okay. And then to have support waiting for you after you've expressed your inability to conform, to step up, to take the action that's being asked of you, to get support, to debrief, to talk it through. And bit by bit, these experiences build. You'll also probably need support to hold the boundary because oftentimes the person or the system we're drawing the boundary with, yeah, they don't like that. And they're not used to that behavior from us. But once you start stacking these experiences one on top of the other, it builds a muscle and it builds your sense of self-care and self-love and self-support. And you're walking with your heart open more and more. And you're having the experience of trusting and seeing how this plays out. Yeah, it may hurt. You may get rejected. You may get cut off. You may have to sleep on a friend's couch. There may be issues that come up that you'll have to address that are uncomfortable, but I promise you, You will move out of it and you will move forward and you will live in a new zip code and you will experience freedom and you'll want more. So, good luck to you in waking up to it, which you already have, or you wouldn't have written this question as well as you have, to going within and understanding, soothing that inner being, saying it's okay, you're okay, and it's okay for you to say no. And then getting the support, talking it through, being ready to say no, and then taking the action, actually saying no, and then going back, bookending with the person that helped you say no, and then gently building your experience, withdrawing these gentle boundaries. So, bravo to you. I think you're going to have great success with this. And I really appreciate you writing in this great question, because I know you're not alone in that. We all need help and practice, and we all have these experiences. So, bravo for you. After surviving life, I still don't sense a purpose. How do I find purpose after feeling I've been sucked dry by it all? Oh boy, yeah. Believe me, yes, I have been there. And I still sometimes experience this place of feeling emptied, feeling there's no one that I can turn to within my support circle, that I honestly don't have to take care of, which is a remnant of abuse and walking through abuse and being raised with narcissism. But you have survived, or you wouldn't be here. So, first, applaud yourself for that. That's huge. Many of us don't make it as far as you have. And I can feel you have been through great difficulties and you've prevailed and you're trudging the road. Now, as far as life purpose, sometimes I think we make too big a deal out of life purpose. What is it? What does it look like? We want to put it into a box and control it. Sometimes it's enough that we just wake up and put our clothes on and suit up and show up and get through our day, because you have no idea who you are impacting and who is being helped by just a glance you gave or a gentle smile. So ground yourself in that knowing initially. Continue your work of going within and meditating on your own beauty from within, finding your accolades and your applause internally, quietly, rather than looking for them from the outside or turning yourself into pretzels, producing the most incredible, school fundraiser for your first grader, or some big party for your parents' anniversary, or organizing the wedding reception for your coworker, and trying to get the accolades from the outside in. Find those accolades from yourself. Start to unravel that duct tape and that sticky glue and that hatred that's lacquered around your heart. Go within and know you're okay. Learn again how to soothe yourself, how to be gentle with you, and begin to meditate. Ask your guardian angel, ask your higher self, ask your oversoul, What is it that you would have me do today? Please make clear my purpose to me and let it fall on my head. Wake me up. And slow by slow, it will come. But I have to say, you are living your purpose by connecting within, by treating yourself with love, by learning how to truly apply self-care and then presenting that for others by a smile, by a glance, by a wave to a stranger, and just showing up fully day by day. And yes, your defined purpose will come, but let it roll out gently and naturally. And you can journal and you can work with a professional to dig it out. But honestly, it's going to come from within and with clarity. I can feel it in you. Okay, I hope that helps. And we're going to go on to the next question. I feel I'm losing my marbles. I have no balance and am not sure where to find solid ground lately. Help. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. You're seeing it. You're seeing our political system outed for what it is. You're questioning the government's actions. You're seeing our financial system shake. You're seeing the healthcare system and the standard of care becoming a ruse. You're knowing the system you were educated in was about schooling you into a system of beliefs, and you were taught what to think rather than how to think it. And I know you were that little one in your family that knew something was awry. It didn't fit. You didn't want to serve it. You knew boundaries were being crossed. And I know you're the one that looked up at the stars, wondering when you could be whisked back home and why you were put here on planet Earth. So you're not losing your marbles. You may be a little off balance because, yes, our planet is shaking. It's shaking physically, it's shaking emotionally, and it's shaking on a spiritual level to wake us up into opening our eyes to systems that just don't fit and ways of living that are broken and things that we've lived through that need to be re-examined and released, and to find forgiveness in our own hearts for ourselves and those toxic systems that have impacted us. I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. I'm not saying don't go into the rage and the anger over the abuse and the victimization and the horrendousness that's been foisted upon us as human beings. I'm not saying that. I'm saying go there, explore it, recognize it, and release it, because we need you to stand up to it, walk through it, and then see it all as a gift, all this challenge as a gift for your soul to grow and for you to help other human beings after you've walked through it and found the freedom that lied within. So to get on solid ground, I'd say do what makes you feel good, including going outside and grounding. You know, I got a pair of those shoes, they're earthing shoes, so they're not rubber soled. And so the electromagnetic frequency can come up as I'm walking outside. I don't even have to be in my bare feet, especially as it's getting cooler now. So grounding, really looking and taking in nature and experiencing the gratitude, stopping yourself in a moment of insight when you're going down that litany of what's not good enough about yourself, stopping yourself and saying, hey, I'm not buying it. Finding that self-love. And that may be a formal meditation practice. It may be walking. It may be volunteering at your local pet shelter. It may be helping a neighbor. It may be calling a friend to see how they are doing. Or again, it may be doing something kind for a stranger. So yes, it's harder now with the planetary alignment, with the frequencies that we're being pelted with the solar storms, with the Schumann resonance. But it's all part of the process to wake us up to authentic freedom and grounding. And when you need help, reach out for it. Help is there for you. I've never seen so many different modalities, free tools all over the internet, community classes, organizations. We are so abundant, even though the universe feels like it's tightening, jobs are going away, there's so much insecurity. Reprogram, focus on the abundance you do have, and what can I do in this moment to bring a sense of safety and security, balance, and well-being to me. And if you listen, the answer is going to come. And if you need help discerning it, I'm here. How do we really get free from toxic systems after growing up in them? They seem to repeat as an adult no matter what I do. Is there really hope? Great question. I know so many of us are just frustrated. Is it ever going to change? Are we ever going to see things really get better? How you relate to your family, is it ever really going to change? Is my work environment going to shift and change? The power of thought and your own internal power of your heart is so strong. We've been trained out of it. Yes, these toxic systems that we've all experienced, we've been programmed out of our power, our beauty, our strength, our abundance. But we are creators in our heart and in our being. We are powerful, and we can step by step overcome, see through, walk through, and get the support and the stability. And it takes practice. Once you've been trained into a system and you wake up to that training, it takes practice to first recognize it, walk into it, and go, oh, I'm here, right? Then you recognize it, you walk toward it, and you take a step back. And then you recognize it, walk toward it, know what it is, and walk around it. So it's practice. It's repeated practice. It's taking simple actions. It's going within and using your own discernment. What feels good for me? What do I need? I remember I was in the midst of some drama. It was decades ago. I was really dramatizing it up with a boyfriend. And he just subtly yet powerfully said to me, "What do you need?" And I literally was stopped in my tracks because I had no idea what I needed. I just wanted to continue the drama. I was like an infant screaming. So it's recognizing, waking up, and recognizing that we're acting out the toxicity again, and we need to roll it out, roll it back, ground by breathing, breath work, taking a walk, changing our environment, connecting to nature, making a phone call, doing some writing, jumping jacks, clapping. Did you know, like clapping, like this, like clapping changes your frequency? I had no idea, but it really works. I get out my hula hoop a lot if I want to change my mood, if I'm in a bad mood, just to shift the energy. And then somehow you get back into your body, and there is hope, but it's a step at a time, and it takes time. And sometimes it takes help and support. We've been through a lot. We're going through a lot. Even those of us that have had decades of self growth and realization, we're at a whole new level. And circumstances and toxic settings are being revealed ad nauseum at a high fevered pitch. So just trust you are not alone. And I'm going to say you're probably a sensitive, if I had to guess, meaning you're highly empathic and you're taking on the energies and the toxicity that may not belong to you. So that's another point to check. See if you are taking on toxicity or you're feeling emotion that may not belong to you. And then I just clear it. And what I mean by that is I clear any energy and emotions that don't fit, that aren't working, that aren't for my betterment, that are old and outdated. I clear them. And then literally do shift it up, go outside, whatever you can do to shift the energy, and that will break you out of the toxic system. And you learn this behavior. Yes, we are reprogramming ourselves. And it's like, those old freezers that they used to, have all those chunks of ice in it, and you'd have to unplug the freezer or the refrigerator freezer to let it de-thaw and really clean it out. That's what's happening. Like, our stuff is falling off in chunks, and we're having to examine it and see it for what it is and let it go. And yes, you will really be free if you continue to walk forward and do your best not to engage in the drama of the circumstance. But don't shame yourself if you get into that behavior. I mean, we were trained in tit for tat energy, that stinginess, that you did this to me, so I'm going to do this for you, or keeping that balance card or that score sheet. And that's all old, that's all going away. But you're going to feel it as it goes. You're going to see it. And some of this stuff that we're seeing coming up in our dreams or our thoughts, memories, it's hard. It's hard to really examine it and say, hey, yeah, that's what's happening. But it's okay. Just see it and thank it. This morning, I was thanking something. It was so uncomfortable. And I just said, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing me who you are. And I release you and I let you go. And then I feel my feet, my 2 feet on the ground. And yes, you can live in complete freedom in a new, I like to call it a new zip code. because it's nothing like you used to live before. You're not as afraid of the future as you were. You're not as afraid of other people, including family members and colleagues and associates. You're not afraid. You're out of that toxic system. You have dropped some of that old, outdated patriarchal crap that never even belonged and was not true. We are powerful beings. Step into your sovereignty, and there is hope. So, thanks for writing. Thanks for the question. You've really helped empower me by your question, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, don't be afraid, guys. Send in your questions. You can leave them below this video if you like for next month's Q&A. You can visit susangold.us and put them into an email to me, info@susangold.us, because your questions and your issues are probably someone else's, and it's really helpful to share them. Okay, last question. Why can't I break the cycle of behavior that implodes on me? I continue to give myself away and allow others to use and abuse me. Yeah, this one is painful. I'm sure you can identify, definitely if you're listening to this Q&A and if you've got to this point in the Q&A, I'm sure you relate to this. And it is a process. You need to be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can. The fact that you're willing to look at your behavior, to examine it, to question your behavior, that's wonderful. That's a huge step in the right direction. You know, it's kind of like when you're in that bad relationship and you know it, but you're not certain yet. And if you're not certain and you try to break up, you just go back together, and then it's like sticky glue. You get out, you go back, you get out, you go back. You really have to get to that point where you really know deeply in both your heart and your mind, the two together, that, yeah, you're really done with this. That's when you can truly say, yeah, I'm getting out. This isn't good for me. And you stay out because you know you're grounded in it. But it is a process to get there. So I would say be gentle with yourself. Seeing the behavior is amazing. Accepting that you're in that cycle and being gentle is important. And then becoming aware of it leads you to a place where you've really become ready, either not to repeat it or shift and change or get out. And use support. It's really hard to try to do this on your own. We are in this together for a reason. I just want to applaud you and encourage you to continue. I think this month's newsletter was about leaving a legacy. And we're able to do that when we wake up to the toxicity and become ready to change and then change it. We're putting up the stop sign and we're saying, it stops here with me. I'm not passing this on. I'm not repeating this. And you're leaving that legacy within your family system, within the workplace, within your educational system, whatever it is, whatever system it is that you're involved with. Your courage to become aware and stop it and shift it and change it is crucial. And it's a huge contribution. So I think that's it for today's Q&A. If you're not on the newsletter email list and would like to be, go to susangold.us, just sign up. The free course, Signs of a Toxic Family, is still there. Some of us don't even understand that we grew up in toxicity, and that can apply to workplace systems and other toxic environments as well. It's a free short course, and it's giving people some enlightenment, some insight, some hope, and some practical tools. So don't be shy, head on over, and I would love to connect with you in a Taste of Freedom session. It's complimentary if it's your first time. And I'd love to hear more about your story and the questions you may have at the moment, because it's a tough and challenging time, and we can get through this together. So take good care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video or engage with you over email or in person or digitally. So thanks again for tuning in.